Hey, what's up everybody? 3D Theory here. It is August 16th, 2024, and this is vlog number 36. We've got something really cool printing out over here. This is a little flower pen cup that my wife and I designed together probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And I've printed this thing out on probably all of my printers, anywhere from the Monoprice Mini Delta V2, which was my first ever 3D printer, to the printer that used to sit right there, which was the Creality CR-10 S5, which was a terrible machine, but this machine's great, CR6 Max. And I really wanted to give this thing a try so that I can look at its print quality, and in all honesty, it's looking real good. With all my previous experiences printing this thing, I used to get a lot of stringing, and sometimes it couldn't even finish, or they would get layer shifts. But this one, on the Bambu Lab A1, handles it like a champ. I do have some older ones that I can probably show you if I can find it, but even the top part of this flower, some of it's chipped off because it had a layer shift or had some sort of extrusion issue with previous printers. But I really wanted to give this another go and print it out on the A1 because of the great print quality we get from it, and I am very pleased with it so far. The filament I'm using isn't the best. I got it real cheap on Amazon, and it kind of looks like ever so slightly translucent, but it doesn't have like the greatest look to it. But the color was right for the pen cup, so that's why I chose to print it out in this color. But nonetheless, it's doing a great job. And here's our tiny print farm of plates and latches. And this is one set of plates and latches. This is the left latch, left plate, right plate. And these connect to a larger product that I don't really talk too much about because the rest of the product's not 3D printed. This is the only 3D printed part. I printed out in gray PETG on these Bambu Lab A1 3D printers. And I explained that for those of you who are new to the channel. And I throw the finished ones into these boxes, and my printers are numbered. So I got printer number 1, 2, and up to number 5, where there's an AMS light combo. Now what I do with this AMS light combo in particular, I don't do a whole lot of color printing just yet, is I use up all the near empty spools of gray PETG. If the spool can't finish up a full latch or a full plate, I take it, replace it with a new one, and use it on this AMS light. And the reason is because this has auto refill capabilities. So when one finishes during printing, it will just switch to the next one and start printing with that. But there is a way of doing it. You have to make sure all 4 slots are the same color and same material, so it knows that it can just switch. But since I've changed the color and the material, this is PLA, it won't use slot number 2. It'll switch to maybe slot number 4 instead, because it knows that that's the same exact one. Nothing like a nice cup of coffee. And by the way, it is 84.4 degrees Fahrenheit in the 3D printer room, and it's 48% humidity in this 3D printer room. And you know, now that I'm zoomed into this thing with my camera, I can actually see these things a little bit better. So those smaller numbers are actually the range that you usually get in this 3D printer room. So it's about 69.8 degrees Fahrenheit to all the way up to 102.4. And I believe it, even at this temperature, I'm sweating. And that's why that humidity is increasing there. They usually can get up to 15% and go all the way up to 70. By the way, these are thrones for your phone. This is a makeshift phone. So this is the Sith throne from Star Wars Episode 9, Vader's throne from Kenobi series, and Bo-Katan's throne from Mandalorian Season 2. And all these allow you to place your phone on them, and all of them have a reclining back, and the link is in the description. Also, Green over here from Rainbow Friends is also there. And last but not least, here is the Stealth French side table, also available on my Maker World. And a few people have been asking if I can kind of make the tabletop bigger. So, a little background on this. I made this so I can print it out on the Creality CR-10 S5 that used to sit right there. And I wanted to make it fit on the Bambu Lab A1 because I have printed this out in the past but haven't had the greatest results, and I wanted to try it out on these honestly spectacular machines. So I decreased the size to about 80%, and so it is smaller. Without a doubt, it's a smaller table. But this is an actual French side table, a circular one. And this was kind of the inspiration for this stealth version. And as you can tell, they're not too big of a difference. Let's see, let's put it side by side. Someone was asking on my Make World if I can increase the size by just grabbing the stem here and enabling it to stack up. So I created a bottom stem and a top stem, but I feel like it would be taller than the actual thing. And if I were to make this stealth side table any larger, the top, it wouldn't fit the Bambu Lab A1 PEI sheet. Ah, that's finished over there. Very nice. Back to the PEI sheet, the tabletop wouldn't fit. So that's why I had to reduce the size. Now, people are asking, can you increase the size of the tabletop? It wouldn't be too much bigger if I were to increase it, but I definitely can. I would have to make it so you guys can print that in pieces, and it's gonna take a little bit of time for me to figure it out, especially because it's a circular table. But I'm gonna go ahead and take the tabletop off, not from that point, but I want to take it off from this point here. There you go. And I kind of want to show you how it would sit on this Bambu Lab A1. So I'm going to go ahead and actually take this off. Stuck on there pretty good. Oh, that actually came off a lot easier after yesterday's isopropyl alcohol wipe down. So this is how it would fit. Cutting it in half won't work. So I can't do some sort of pizza slices. Actually, the pizza slice idea might work. Just cutting it in half in 4. You know what? That actually might work. Okay. Once I get a little bit of bandwidth, I think I'll chop this up into 4, increase the size of the stealth side table back to 100%, which will be about that size. And then I'll chop this up into 4 and dovetail it. But I can't promise you when I'll be able to get that done. It does take a bit of time. And so, nonetheless, we'll make it happen. But then do I make both of them available? But if someone just wants this tiny one, maybe they can put it in their restroom for whatever reason, place their phone on it, or next to their couch when they're laying down. It's perfect height for that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think both should be available? The smaller scaled down size where you don't have to put the tabletop together, and the larger one, which is full size here. Should I just make both available? Let me know. All right, guys, so I got a couple of the old prints of this flower pen cup, and here is the one I printed out on the Bambu Lab A1. I'm just gonna give the plate a flex here and get this off. All right, that honestly came off so easily. Now I'm gonna take some of these supports off, or all of them rather, and it's super easy. I found some settings where I was able to make the supports come off real easy, and so that is looking so good. All right, guys, so here's our lineup, and as I told you in the past, I've printed these out on different machines throughout time. And so this one, I printed it out on the Monoprice Mini Delta V2. And as you can tell, it looks horrible. For lack of a better way of describing it, it just looks really bad. There's support material that gets printed out in all these gaps, along with the one I printed out on the Creality CR-10 S5 over here. So I had to go in with a mini little flathead screwdriver and poke those out of there. The bottom was terrible. That's the first layer there. And the top looked terrible as well. And as you can tell, some of these petals came off. And it came off because there was a bit of under extrusion or something, where right when I just touched it, like ever so slightly, it just broke right off. So this is with the Monoprice Mini Delta V2 way back when. And this is when I was still prototyping. As you can tell, this one's thinner. I was trying to find the right thickness as to not use too much filament and not to have the print times go really high up. So this was a prototyping phase I was going through. Then we have the one that was printed on the Creality CR-10 S5, and it looked good. It was going pretty good. And the bottom layer looks pretty nice as well, the first layer. Again, I was having to take all the support material out of those holes here one by one, so that was a pain. But then as it went on, you got some layer shifting over here, some of that banding, streaking, whatever you want to call it. And only one side looked good. But as you can tell, it didn't finish. There was an issue. I forgot by now what the issue was, but it stopped. I think it was under extrusion. Yeah, I can actually feel it. It's very brittle up here. So this was the only one. Actually, I had printed one out in pink and I gave it to a family member's daughter. So it ended up looking like this because I had printed it out on the S5. But nonetheless, let's move on to the Bambu Lab A1 version. This, look at that. We got a little bit of a line down here. That's because of the base. But other than that, the quality is the best I've seen this print. And I feel comfortable calling this kind of a print test with no supports, except for the bottom right here where I had to pull those off. So no supports in these holes. And it is looking super clean. How's the bottom layer? Awesome. This is a wonderful little flower pen cup. Very nice. Alright guys, so I jumped into Bambu Studio over here for a second and I wanted to show you something. So I figured instead of 3D printing the stealth side table at full scale and then discovering errors or things I overlooked, I figured my first prototype I make of this, I should probably do it at a miniature scale. So I can see that everything fits together, that there really are no issues, and I can kind of root it out from there. From the last time I finished 3D modeling this thing, I already had found a couple of issues and I fixed them already. So in a way, prototyping in 3D has already begun. Since I finished it, I probably have 2 more versions. And they were just small little things where a bevel didn't come out right and it kind of created this soft edge going in. And there was also N-gons in that area after I had fixed it and I didn't catch that. So it was just small little issues that I happened to catch before going into Bambu Studio, which is good. Now I want to kind of have that same iterative mentality when going into Bambu Studio and 3D printing. So I scaled down the stealth side table so that it can fit in one print plate and print it out, put it together, and see if there are any issues. I know that I wanted to add some sort of latching mechanism over here so that when the lid covered it, it kind of had a way to stay in place. But after having done my jig for the rotary tool, I noticed that putting in kind of like a sliding plate like that can just stay put in a 3D printed sense. But I may want to include a little bit of a latch system there if it doesn't stay closed, and we'll just have to see after we 3D print it out. So I'm going to go ahead and 3D print this out. This, if I'm not mistaken, is going to take about 10 hours. Yeah, it's going to take about closer to 11 hours. And so once this is finished, we can put it together and see the miniature version and test it out. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the G-code file into an SD card for the Bambu Lab A1 with AMS light combo, which is number 5, printer number 5. Hey, that reminded me of Johnny number 5, if any of you remember that great summertime movie when you're out of school, Johnny number 5. All right, but yeah, I'm going to throw it in the SD card and get that printed out. All right, guys, just remember with the Bambu Lab A1s, you got to do a cold pull for your SD card, which means you got to turn the machine off first completely in the back, and then you can take the SD card in and out of there. So now we can turn it back on. All right, that's good to go. Nice. All right, guys, so I know I want to print this out in PETG. So I got CC3D black PETG over here. And so I'm just going to swap out the purple PLA and get that printing out. Let me first clean off this PLA. I always forget to try to peel the PLA off because I always want to test if it's easier, because people are telling me they could just take it off with their nail. And with this one, yeah. So I guess PLA comes off PEI sheets way easier. I can just take it off with my finger over here. And I think I might have dropped that in this hole here. Let me double check. So I'm going to open up the back, and no, it didn't fall in there, which is good. I just don't know where it went. Might have just fallen in there. Nonetheless, it's good to go. All right, so you don't have to unload the filament with these, because as soon as the print is done, it goes over and cuts the filament. So you can just then kind of pull it out like this. Very easy. I really enjoy this AMS light combo. I'm glad I got one. And like I've mentioned in the past, I wouldn't need one for every single one of my printers. I'm glad I just have one for finishing up all those near empty spools of filament. And if I ever wanted to print out in color, that gives me the ability to do so. So that's good. All right, we got that black loading up in there, black PETG. And with that ready to go, I'm gonna go ahead and put that filament. Before it was purple. You probably can't see it on screen, but it's a purple color there. And just gonna go down to PETG, select black. Takes a second to load. All right, that's loaded in there. And I don't know if you guys had this issue where you got this symbol for a new file you put into your SD card, and I kind of want to see the preview of what I'm printing. So I just go to the back of the machine, turn it off, wait a couple seconds, and turn it back on. And once it's on, I just click that, and now we have a preview. So that's how you get rid of that if you guys ever run into that issue. Nonetheless, let's get this thing printed. I'm going to use that one there, number 2, slot number 2, and we're off to the races. All right, guys, so I went ahead and took off the other one as well, and it's looking real nice. Some of you have mentioned that gray hides the layer lines, and that's why I'm kind of going up close here. It's seriously as good as it looks. No camera magic here. And yeah, I just use a generic PETG setting in Bambu Studio and print it out on these Bambu Lab A1s, and I get a really clean result. All right, guys, I'm just going to give this a quick little wipe down. And these, after checking the filaments, are ready for the next print. So we're going to do left latch here, right latch on this one, and we're good to go. All right, guys, so I'm down here on the lower printers, and someone was asking about ghosting in the comments, and yes, ghosting most definitely occurs now. I had unintentionally printed out a left plate on the machine I usually print out a right plate on, and because I printed out right plates on this so much that when I peeled this off, it had the ghost image, and also like where that hole is there and there of the right plate. So indeed, if you guys do print over and over the same print in the same spot, it's always going to leave a ghost image on your other prints. So just keep that in mind. Nonetheless, it's a great print. It still is a very functional piece, and it'll do its job. All right, guys, so I'm just going to go ahead and get the test strips off, run of the mill. I can already feel how smooth it is to take the prints off because of that isopropyl alcohol. Very cool. Funny enough, I'm getting that three lines again. I really don't know what that is, but nonetheless, again, it's flat, completely and totally flat, and it's just funny. There's just this little anomaly, little artifact, but nonetheless doesn't affect the product itself, and it looks real good. Just gonna throw this back on there. Might as well get this print started. We're gonna do the right plate on this one. Let me give it a quick little wipe down. Very good. I do have enough filament, but I did notice something weird. There's a little bit of a curve in that filament. Never seen that before. But checking both filaments, I do have enough to start next prints on those. I just wanted to include that in there because I do look out for that every time before I start a print. All right, guys, likewise, I'm gonna do the same for this one here. Just take it right off. Very nice. There's the bottom, there's the front. Just completely beautiful prints. It looks great. All All right, I'm just gonna throw this back on there. Take this off and give it a quick little wipe down, and we'll get this print started here. All right, guys, I just wanted to take a quick moment and acknowledge the importance of kind of keeping your mind in order. And I know this is kind of off topic of 3D printing, but it's related to it as well, especially if you're running a business with it or if you're working on ongoing projects. So I really like to journal, and I learned about journaling, the way I journal now rather, from Jim Rohn. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that name, but it's spelled Jim, J-I-M, and Rohn, R-O-H-N. You can look him up on YouTube, specifically about journaling. So you could type his name and write journaling, and he tells you how to journal. And the kind of short version of it is that you kind of document what you're going through on a project, or if you're working on improving certain parts of yourself, you know, engaging in self-development or self-improvement rather. You write down things you found out, potential issues, and this is also related to projects, and how you overcame them. And if you didn't overcome them, you still kind of document and write down the things you had experienced, the struggles you faced, and you want to be as truthful as possible, you know, not being overly optimistic or overly pessimistic, just kind of writing the events down. Rohn describes it as, you know, we take a bunch of photos and videos of our lives, and this is a way of taking a photo or a video of what's going on in your thoughts at that time, using a pen that I really enjoy. So right here, I use the Uniball 1. It's a 0.5 tip, so it's kind of sharp, and it just feels good to write with this. At the top of the page, I always start out where I'm at, the date, and the time I started to journal. And I'm not going to get into the technique of writing too much because Jim Rohn does a fantastic job, and I use his techniques anyway. And just a little story about journaling. I was stuck on a certain part of my project with the business, and I really didn't know what to do. I was really struggling to think how to move forward. I had worked on a project for about 2 years, and I was stuck in terms of funding. I needed some funding to get the project moving forward. I created a pitch deck so I can pitch to potential angel investors, and none of it came through. Everything fell through. I was seriously stuck, and I said, you know what, 2 years of work, how am I going to continue moving forward? And for about a couple of weeks, I was just kind of aimlessly thinking, and one day I just shut my eyes and I said, I know I have the answer within. And so I asked myself, I said, I'd like to come up with an answer. And I know I have the wherewithal to come up with an answer. Even though there was nothing clear, I just kind of asked myself, asked my brain, if you will, hey brain, come up with something where I can move forward. And I made that clear on a notebook, and I said, brain, by morning time when I wake up, I want to have the idea for the next steps on how to move forward with this whole business venture. And lo and behold, when I woke up in the morning, and I kid you not, this actually happened, I had the idea on how to build my product in an efficient and cost-effective way where I wasn't building out tons of molds, hence why you see some of this stuff being 3D printed. And the other parts of the product, I always mention that it's not 3D printed, and that's why I'm putting together most of the product. And so it was due to that reason that I was able to come up with an idea to continue and make the business move forward. And throughout that 2-week period, I was writing my thoughts down. I was writing what was bothering me, and I didn't know how to move forward. And it really just releases all that worry, all that frustration, even good ideas that you have that you probably won't remember because you just thought of it and move forward from there with your day. Now I was able to remember it. I can go back and reread it. I reread it pretty often, maybe once or twice a month, some of the previous entries. And I go with that structure of what the problem was and how I resolved it. And through that, I was able to really capture ideas and use them, put them together in different ways to form a pathway moving forward. And I just wanted to mention that. I just wanted to mention the importance of journaling, especially if you've got lots of projects. And I know in, I think vlog number 1, if I'm not mistaken, I mentioned I like to go out and walk, maybe to the LA Zoo and other places for kind of keeping your mental health in order and getting a little bit of exercise. And I did it once. I went to the Walt Disney Animation building. It didn't really perform well in the metrics, but it is something that I want to continue doing. And since doing this daily vlog, I kind of put it in the back burner, and I find it real important to continue with it. So I hope you guys will enjoy kind of going through and having little walking sessions, kind of get a change of pace. And I don't know if I'm going to be including it in the vlogs, but I do want to mention it just in case I do include it in a vlog. I know we kind of got into a deeper topic there, but nonetheless, it really helped me out. And I just wanted to mention it. And if you are interested, do check out Jim Rohn's journal video. You could just type it in on YouTube and it'll come right up. I find him to be a great speaker, and his recordings have helped me out in more ways than one. But nonetheless, that about wraps it up for today's vlog. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, peace, love, and joy.